Sheikh Hamdan's father chose his wife, but his heart chose someone else too. Choices were made, both of them real, both of them permanent in their consequences, both of them shaping the life of Sheikh Hamdan in ways that are still unfolding today. His father chose his wife with precision, with strategy, with the long term vision of a ruler who does not make decisions based on emotion and who has never confused what his son wants with what his son needs according to the plan. Sheikh Mohammed looked at the landscape of his family's future and identified the woman who would best serve it and arranged for that woman to become the wife of the crown prince of Dubai. That was one choice. The other choice was made by Hamdan himself, quietly, privately, without consulting anyone whose opinion would have mattered to the official process. His heart chose someone else, someone who was not on any list, someone who had not been evaluated or approved or positioned as a suitable option by anyone in a position of authority over the shape of his life, someone he simply loved. And the collision between those two choices, the father's and the heart's, is the engine that has been driving the most painful chapter of his story for years. Sheikh Mohammed's choice followed the logic that has always governed his decisions. He is a man who built Dubai from a vision into one of the most extraordinary cities in the world. He does not achieve things like that by making choices based on feeling. He achieves them by identifying the correct strategic option and executing against it with a consistency that does not waver when the execution becomes uncomfortable. His son's marriage was a strategic decision. Sheikha bint Said Al Thani was the correct strategic option. She came from the right family, she carried the right bloodline, she represented the right alliance. She would strengthen the position of the Al Maktoum family in the specific ways that Sheikh Mohammed's long term vision required it to be strengthened from every angle that the decision needed to be evaluated from. And Sheikh Mohammed evaluated it from all of them. She was the right choice. What she was not was the choice Hamdan's heart had already made. And this is the detail that Sheikh Mohammed's strategic evaluation had no framework for incorporating. Not because he was unaware that his son had feelings for someone else. He knew. The people who say he did not know are underestimating the degree to which a man like Sheikh Mohammed knows everything that happens within the sphere of his family's life. He knew about the other woman. He knew about the connection. He knew about the years of feeling that his son had invested in a someone who was not going to be on the official list of suitable options. And he made the calculation that most royal fathers in his position have made throughout history, that feelings, however genuine, are a temporary condition, and that strategic correctness is a permanent one, and that time and arrangement and the ongoing requirements of the role would eventually align his son's heart with the choice his father had made for him. He was wrong. That is the part of the story that Sheikh Mohammed has never publicly reckoned with. The calculation that feelings are temporary and strategy is permanent assumes that the feelings being dismissed are ordinary ones, the kind that fade when the circumstances change. When a new relationship provides new experiences and new connections, and the old feeling is gradually displaced by the reality of the present. That kind of feeling, common enough, the kind that most people experience and move through without permanent damage, might indeed have been manageable through arrangement and time. But what Hamdan felt for the woman his heart chose was not that kind of feeling. It was the other kind, the rare kind. The kind that does not fade when circumstances change, because it is not produced by circumstances in the first place. It is produced by something more fundamental, something that the arrangement could not reach, and this title could not override, and the years of official marriage could not gradually replace. The wife his father chose entered a marriage that was officially correct in every way and emotionally hollow from the beginning, not through any failure of her own. She was dignified. She was present. She was everything the official requirements of a royal wife called for. But she was living alongside a man whose heart was not available in the way a heart needs to be available for a marriage to be something more than a formal arrangement. The distance she felt from Hamdan was not incidental, it was structural, built into the marriage from the moment the marriage was decided upon by a father who had not included the state of his son's heart in the strategic calculus. The woman Hamdan's heart had chosen was still there, through the engagement, through the wedding, through the early form of the official marriage, when the public version of two royal newlyweds was being carefully presented to a world that had no access to the private version of what was actually happening inside the palace walls. She was still there, still in contact, still part of the private life that ran parallel to the official one, in the way that genuine love runs parallel to official arrangements. When the official arrangement was not made with genuine love in mind. His heart had not changed its choice simply because his father had made a different one. And no amount of political correctness in the official marriage was going to change what the heart had already decided. The wife eventually found out, not all at once, not in a single revelatory moment that answered every question simultaneously, in pieces, over time. The way people find out things that have been kept from them in a life that is very carefully managed, through small inconsistencies that accumulate into a pattern, through the feeling that persists long after the official explanations have been offered, through the eventual discovery of something specific enough to turn the feeling into fact. And when she had found out enough to understand the full shape of what had been kept from her, that the distance she had felt was not something that time was going to close, because it was not produced by unfamiliarity, but by the prior claim of a heart that had already given itself elsewhere. The marriage became something that neither of them could continue pretending was what it had been, presented to the world as being. Two choices, the father's and the heart's, both real, both permanent, both producing consequences that are still unfolding in the life of a man who was never asked, in any formal sense, which choice he wanted to live inside. He was given one, he made the other. And the space between them, the gap between what was officially chosen for him and what his heart had unofficially chosen for itself, is the space where the most honest story of Sheikh Hamdan has always lived. Not in the official announcements, not in the palace photographs, not in the carefully managed narrative of the Crown Prince of Dubai. In the gap, in the poetry written from inside the gap, in the eyes that carry the gap even when everything else about him is presenting exactly what the official story requires. His father chose his wife, but his heart chose someone else. And in that simple, permanent, irresolvable division between the two choices, one made with strategy and one made with feeling, the whole of the most painful chapter of his life was already written before the wedding ever happened. Subscribe to this channel and hit the bell. Every week, I bring you the real story of Sheikh Hamdan, the choices that were made for him, the choices he made for himself, and the truth about what happens when those two kinds of choices point in opposite directions, and neither one is willing to fully give way.